Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with a follow-up from Khiron, which is, this was scheduled actually about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It just happened to be coincide with what is happening with the marijuana stocks here in the US. But one of my favorite plays in the medical cannabis space is actually Khiron, KHRNF, and we have Alvaro Torres, the CEO here, to give us an update on what's happening with Khiron. Thanks for coming in, Alvaro.
Oh, hi, Tim. Very nice to be here again. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So anything exciting happening in your world?
Everything is exciting happening in my world. We get the opportunity to work in 5 different countries, hopefully one very soon. So there's always exciting news all across. I think execution is happening really fast. So everything's going really, really well. We are breaking a lot of new ground, as you've known for some time. And every time we break new ground, it just gets really excited about the possibilities. Right? The fact that we are doing something so unique.
So let's last time we talked, I don't know if we talked about it on air. I don't think we did, but your positioning in Europe, in Germany, specifically, what's happening with the brand there?
Well, Europe is something we've been, going after for the last 2 years. I have a fantastic team in Europe, in Germany, and the UK. We opened our clinic in the UK in very early December. And if you look at our UK Reddit, most of them, it's extremely good, positive reviews. And that's really, Tim, how you start building awareness and brand with patients. No? It's them who have to really like what we're doing, like our service, like our products. And that's causing Khiron to grow tremendously over the last 4 months. This quarter, this Q1, I think it will be not only the best that we've done, but by far away, just in the UK alone, with the number of patients that are coming, patients that are liking the clinics, that word of mouth that's spreading about how amazing the clinic is and the service and the people that we have there that have this culture of service. And I think, the UK is going to be continuing to be a very good market for us. One that, to be honest, started to jump a lot, particularly in December of last year. I mean, if you look at just the month of March, I think we sold more in March February, than what we sold in the entire 2021 in pounds. So, when you start looking at year-on-year sales, it's just really motivating for me because we've been doing this for a long time. It takes time to build this type of relationships, but we have such a caring team in the UK. The way they do their work, the way they care about their patients, and patients really care about that. You can see the comments, and that's growing on its own very organically, and I don't expect that growth to stop at all. In Germany, it's happened the same way, but of course we don't have clinics there. Right now, we're in the process of introducing new strains, convincing more doctors, showing them a lot more evidence so that they can start prescribing. And then on the back side of it, keep working with our suppliers so that we can be very agile. So Germany and the UK, whereas last year, Europe represented almost, let's say, 30% of our medical cannabis sales team. If we do only what we did in February, I think we'll be doing more than triple the numbers that we did, way more than triple the numbers that we did last year in overall in cannabis, just by this month of February alone. And Europe can be 50% of that. So, I'm going to have to start changing my accent to a German accent or a British accent because this Colombian accent is going to, this company is becoming more global as we speak. And I think that's exactly what we were aiming for. And now, the challenges are more about the supply chain, ability to have a lot more SKUs. But the doctors are there, the patients are responding, the quality of the product works. Our partners like us. I think a lot of people, everybody knows who we are in the UK and Germany. And, we only started last year. So, if I can just find lessons to speak in a better European accent, maybe that will show people that we're actually a true global company. And that's all because of the basis of what we build in Latam. And I'm excited because what's going to happen later is our ability to start generating data and evidence from all parts of the globe. So you can start building a real science-based platform. And now, with some of these US moves, then you can start thinking about how do you take all this data and information and come up so you can take it to a bigger market down the future. So lots of plans, but very exciting, very exciting.
So how has the recent insurance coverage in Colombia, how has that been translating to your business?
Well, Tim, I think first and foremost that this company sells more every month than the day before, right? And it's happening because of all of these things combined. I think this quarter will for sure outsell Q4, even though you always have a slower January, right? Because people are on holidays. But we have a number in mind that we want to break, and we're very close to breaking on a monthly basis. But if we just do what we're going to do in March for Colombia, that would mean at least 2.5 to 3 times the sales that we did last year in Colombia. So I still have 9 months left.
And you opened another clinic, right?
We opened a clinic about a month or so ago in a shopping center. We're going to be opening one very, very soon, another one, small in the outskirts. I think the response from the insurance companies has been great. I mean, it's always a matter of breaking down perception. But now we're showing these clients data on the reduction of opiate consumption. We're showing them the pharmacoeconomic benefits. And now we just have to continue working with different drugstores and pharmacies to get all of these up and running. But in the meantime, we have our own pharmacy. We keep dispensing. Every patient now gets covered by insurance. It's becoming now such a point that our conversations today are about the economic side of it, because I don't think anybody really, and even though we're all in very early stages, Tim, I don't think anybody really thought here that there would be so much cannabis sales. I mean, if you think about just a small number, but 10,000 units, that's $600,000. That starts to become meaningful, a meaningful product that you're taking out of the opiate manufacturer's hands, because that's not going to stop growing. That's not going to stop growing. And so, I mean, I think the possibilities are big. I mean, right now, last week, you can hear in Colombia how many other Colombian companies are getting out of that business of the Colombian domestic market. I think it's hard to compete because we've been selling this out for the last 5 years. It takes time and it sucks, and we still have COVID and all of these things, but every day we sell more. And I think now with the insurance coverage, it's not only how much faster that can grow, but for how long. I mean, this is not going to stop ever.
Right. And then not only that, but the different, I guess the different use cases for cannabis, right? I mean, the different ailments that somebody has. I mean, and it's not necessarily just physical, but it could be mental, it could be depression, it could be a lot of different use cases. And you are collecting all of that data, right?
Well, I've said when we met, I know sometimes people don't pay attention to 100 people data, but when it's 30,000, you have a lot of data there. Excuse me, I just had water the way. I think right now what matters is what do we do with the data? How do we collect it? How do we publish it? We're going to be publishing a very good result in an international publication. We're going to announce that very soon as well. And it's very important that we're able to talk about it, because that builds credibility, because nobody else has it. When you're talking about studies of 2,100 patients with chronic pain, and you have all these very high levels of adherence, that just gets people excited about it. So, and now that we've taken care of the insurance and the paperwork, more people have less excuses to get on cannabis, right? So I think the excitement part of it insurance not just going to happen for everybody, but that it's going to stay here for as much as opioids have stayed. And when you can think about a business that can last 100 years, that's the way I look at the business. Because cannabis now is covered; it's not going to go back. That genie is out of the bottle, right? Like you cannot unscramble that egg. So
I haven't seen anything, and I know that you can't share anything that isn't already public knowledge. But how is the effort to get into Mexico? How is that coming along?
Well, same as I told you before. We have three armies working at the same time, right? Army number one, it's all about getting our permits into Mexico. I think we made great strides, and we will be talking about it very soon. The challenge with these type of things with regulation is that nobody's done it before. So you have to do a lot of education. You have to go through a lot of hoops. Just like I told you, we were the first company in Colombia, first company in Peru, first company in Scotland. All of these first things we've done take time. But I like Colombia, I like Peru, I like the rest. What matters to us right now also is while we're doing all of that work and education and pushing all this documentation and educating everybody that this is not the devil, then we have, army number 2 and 3, and army number 2 is educating doctors so that we can go much faster than what we did in Colombia when we had to start from scratch. And that's a very important point, because if we can start, let's call it monthly prescriptions in a much higher base, in a much bigger country, then that means a lot of success for us. So we don't have to take a lot of the pains of education that we had to do in Colombia and Peru. Number 3 is start looking at how massive we can make our market share by being able to establish the right partnerships in the right cities, so we can set up our business, our distribution, our pharmacies, the operations, the logistics. So by the time we're able to get our permits, we're up and rolling. So we already have a lot of things on that, very, very much engaged. It's always something that it would be more, I would be happy if I could have it today. Sometimes things happen when they happen, but I can tell you that when it happens, I think we'll have the same. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say to you that we'll have the same type of dominance that we've been having in Colombia. And so, few weeks, months, I tell you, we're trying to do it as fast as possible, but also on the other hand, when it happens, the more time I get, the more time we have to establish our presence. Everybody knows who Khiron is. Everybody knows in Latam, and everybody knows how big of a market we have. I think everybody knows how much market share we own, and everybody knows why we are able to do this. So Mexico,
I don't think it can be understated that it was your direct efforts that played a big role in the insurance coverage happening in Colombia, right?
I don't. I mean, I don't think I would be exaggerating if I tell you that it's all because of Khiron's own efforts. Because 95% of the rest of the companies just want to export cheap flower. And, we supported that in the last decree, but our goal was to get this covered by insurance. And that wasn't an easy thing to do. And you're sort of fighting against the hill because everybody's trying to do something else. But for me, we're going to have to the same battle all across the rest of Latin America. And even the biggest prize, which will be one day the NHS in London, UK covering it, which will be huge. But I'd rather take on that battle and probably be the first than be the last and see what can you introduce. So,
I think the beauty of what, and you're aware of what's happening here in the United States,
yeah,
where we're, potentially going to federally legalize marijuana. And we'll see how that plays out. I don't believe anything until it actually happens. So when it happens, I'll believe it, and then we can see. But I think what's interesting to me is I look at Khiron and I think about if you do wind up getting into Mexico, and I think about the path of how long it's taking you to get established there. That just tells me that anybody else that's looking to come there is going to have that long of a path as well, right? It's going to be that challenging. So you're that much further ahead. So if you get established there and you continue to collect this data and you're able to show, like you just mentioned, and I want to highlight it, that, you know, opioid use and subscriptions are down in Colombia or declining. That is a very different stat than what is happening in the United States, right? We are seeing opioids continue to climb, right? So when you have that kind of data and you're going to probably have a year or 2 years, 3 years of data and real hard numbers to prove what's happening. How could the insurance companies then in the United States not want to cover the same thing, right? I mean, that's kind of the way I'm viewing it. It's just like you're kind of building the whole road, the path to, and it's going to get easier and easier the more use cases and the more data you have, right?
Well, I think that's why, I mean, what happened Thursday is so significant, because one of the reasons probably the insurance companies in the States cannot do this because it's a fairly legal substance, right? That's not the problem we have in Colombia. It's fairly legal, right? It's just that we don't have enough money to fund research on it. So companies like Khiron have to do this on our own. But I'll give you an example. I mean, if you look at, I mean, what's an expensive patient anywhere? It's spinal cord injuries, right? Spinal cord injury are patients that can take, you know, all sorts of things, from pregabalin, lidocaine patches, buprenorphine patches, and most importantly, also morphine drops, right? And what you are able to show, because it's fairly legal in Colombia, is that over the last 12 months, you're able to reduce, at least significantly, the use of buprenorphine patches and morphine drops. I mean, in some cases, in those particular type of patients, you still use pregabalin and tapentadol and small opiates, because you cannot really get rid of it right away. But not only do you save more than $10,000 a year, but your patients are not doped. So sometimes, now that the United States wants, or the Senate at least, is looking to empower the FDA, empower research on this, then perhaps you can take all of this information from that time and say, like, how can we research on it? Because this is going to be a tremendous savings. Of course, the problem is that until it's fairly legal, most insurance companies cannot even have it, because these insurance companies have a national record of different types of medications. And then you have the FDA and such. But imagine if we could do it in Colombia, you know, you can certainly get it done in the States. I think that's what's really going to improve a lot of the quality of life of people and economics and things like that. But I mean, just the data we have here, it doesn't matter if you're Colombian in the United States. If you have a spinal cord injury, you're pretty much in the same pain, no?
Right, right.
The more that you can show that evidence, and the more that we can translate that evidence from Colombia to other countries like UK or the United States, the more global we can make our data, the more relevant all of this Colombian information will be.
Right. I mean, I just think you're in such a fantastic position, and I look at the execution of what this company has done. I look at when you did this, right? I mean, you got your license and the country was shut down, what, the next day?
Yeah.
Right? Because of COVID.
I just published a photo on LinkedIn because somebody sent me the photo I had when the lady gave me the receipt of our first unit. That was for $60. And that the next day we shut everything down. I think I hugged like 4 people because we couldn't anymore. And then next day you're like, okay, let's start, but everybody's locked up. So yeah, I remember that day a lot, because it's like this company's always been against the wind. Like, sometimes I wish we could have some more favorable, but you know.
But I think your time is coming, if it's not already here, right? I think that the wind, I don't think you're up against the wind. I think the wind is starting to fill your sails a little bit.
Yeah, well, you know, you have to put everything in perspective, no? Particularly when you talk about growth. I mean, Tim, the first month of April, I think we sold anywhere between 80 or 100 units, I think, for the month. If we can make our 10,000 this month, you're thinking that's 1,000% growth at the same price. We actually increased our prices this year. Where everybody's modeling and everybody's reducing their price, you're increasing your price because now you know that the economic equation is different because it's opioids versus cannabis, not high cannabis versus cheap cannabis. Sometimes you just have to be patient. The same thing happens in Europe because we decided to go into Europe because I didn't want to be just a LATAM company, because I know how difficult all of that is and diversification of revenues and all of that. And then you see you've been doing this UK for 12 months and you're selling, let's say, 3.5 kilos per month, like roughly at $9 to $10 a kilo, a gram. And then all of a sudden you do your clinics, people start believing in it, and you do 25 in a month. And then that starts becoming interesting, which is what we're seeing today. And then you double that number. And sometimes you just need to be patient. And I think this company is always, the same thing happens with Mexico. Now, everybody, of course, is wondering when it's going to happen. For me, it's a matter of getting those type of things right. But when it happens, it's going to happen because of Khiron. It's not going to happen because of anybody else. Because, nobody knows how to build demand more than us, particularly Latin America. So it's just going to be a little bit more patient, lose a lot more hair and drink a lot more water.
All right, listen, I don't want to take up a whole bunch of your time. I mean, I just wanted to get a kind of an update and a feel for what's going on. Is there anything that you specifically want to share, or that you can share, or is it just kind of a stay tuned and when are your earnings coming out?
It's going to be in the third week of April. We're still closing with the auditors on those dates. And then the first quarter will be, again, third week of May. Tim, I think it's always going to be about, we are not stopping growth anywhere. We're not stopping our sales. We're not stopping our gross margins. I mean, the fact that this company has the gross margins it has, it's really just a matter of time. I think the challenge that we have is how do you contemplate that big, high growth, particularly with insurance coverage and all of these things. But of course, the questions we have today in every market is how do you grow double digits after you do your 10,000 prescriptions, no? And I think the challenge with this company is that we are a company that changes every 2 months, because every 2 months, you're sort of selling double what you did 2 months before. And that's a different company with a different challenge and a different motivation and different IT systems. And, that's all very, very exciting to us. So yeah, I mean, we'll be seeing a lot more growth in Colombia. We'll start to talk a little bit more about our armies in Mexico. Europe is tremendously important to us.
And you just opened another facility in Peru, right?
We opened we did a different model in Peru. What we did is we had there was an established pain clinic that was focused on pain. We established a Serenia brand, but just to educate the doctors. It's basically just a way for them to feel like they're part of an ecosystem. So it was very low capital intensive. And we do all these things, all these different models, Tim, because Mexico is going to be about different models working at the same time. In Mexico, we don't have a clinic like in Colombia. We don't have, we didn't acquire a clinic there. Mexico is a much bigger place where you're going to have different types of population with different types of needs. And if you go to Mexico City, it's 25 million people, right? So you cannot have, like we have in Bogota, 4 locations that you can service a lot. So you got to think about different ways to do less capital intensive, more impact when you go there, more training of doctors. And a lot of these things that we do in Peru are also to see, hey, well, we can, if it works there, we can take it there and start figuring out different models. So that model with this new pain clinic is working well for the relative size of the Peruvian market. What's exciting for me about Peru is that the fact that we got our first product registered, And that means a lot in the future of the company, in our ability to sell one actual brand besides just Khiron all across Latam. But that takes another year or so. But you have to start putting these pieces in place so that you can build that brand. And Serenia is always going to be, for the next 3 years at least, until we get cannabis to the main front, right? Serenia is going to be a very big channel for us. I mean, I think I've told you before, and I don't like to repeat the numbers, but it's just the monthly prescriptions that Dr. Serenia prescribes. It's 80 times more than an external doctor prescribes. So we just need to figure out a way, continue to grow that model, try to make it less capital intensive, be able to show it to everybody so we can have as many of them opened up, different types of models. And that's what we're working on right now.
And then I think at some point, I don't know, you probably don't do a whole lot of digital marketing, right? I mean, you probably don't do a whole lot right now. I mean, it's mainly because that would be very challenging, I would think, because of all the different, different rules. And so maybe you're not as active there, but at some point, I think as this becomes more and more mainstream, then maybe digital advertising becomes easier as well, right?
Well, we cannot do digital advertising per se. We do have a strong media presence, digital media with Serenia, because Serenia can talk about cannabis because it's a clinic. But we haven't been able to get the advertisements, the rules around Facebook and Instagram, and it's all very basically the same company. But the stories that we're able to share on Instagram, the number of people that go there, and they listen to all these stories from patients, so they go to Serenia to try to figure out if it works for them. I think, considering the fact that we're still, nobody wants to touch this, it's a very good success, because if we didn't have the clinics, we couldn't even talk about cannabis as a company. So that works, but of course you can imagine this, at least the same fact, what it would open up. It would open up your ability to reach a lot more people with the same effort, which we don't have today, right? It would allow us to be able to talk to insurance companies anywhere, to be able to talk to private companies in Mexico and tell them we can use cannabis, and don't worry, you're not gonna get indicted by the feds in the United States. I mean, but these things are so ingrained in the minds of compliance executives at big corporations, at banks. It's just, if you can get rid of that, that would be amazing.
I'm just thinking about the fact that, like, here in the States, one of the big things that has really taken on and resonated with people is the the teledoc, right? Basically not having to go in and see your doctor, but just doing a Zoom call with them and getting your prescription written to you over the Zoom call, right? That, I think, it could play a huge role with you guys at some point down the road as well, right? I mean,
well, it's already playing a huge role in the UK. I mean, all of our appointments are all digital.
Are they?
Because in the UK, patients and consumers are more used to digital media and digital means. We have a location that we lease when a patient wants an in-person consult, but honestly, we haven't seen that yet happening, which helps us a lot in terms of our capex and investment. In Latam, at least in Colombia and Peru, it's a very somewhat different story, because most of the patients that we have here are about 55, 60 years old, so their use of technology is a little bit lower. A lot of them, if you have a spinal cord injury, you want to go and see your doctor. But what's amazing is that we're able to work in all of these different types of environments. But in the UK, it's just crazy how much penetration telehealth is having. And, the fact that we're able to go the last mile and get that product delivered, we focus so much on that access. I think that's why people like the service so much. And it's hard to do really good service online. Sometimes you can lose that personal presence, but if you look at the UK Reddit materials, it's always very, very positive.
There's a lot of positive things happening there with Khiron. it's not reflecting in the stock. I mean, I do want to bring it up for a second,
I know.
but I can, you know, I've said it before. I really think you're just in this kind of consolidation mode. And until people really start to, I mean, I think you probably have a couple of things. People have to feel comfortable in, you know, investing in a company that's in Colombia, and they have to feel comfortable about investing in a marijuana medical cannabis company. But it's clear to me that you guys continue to be the trendsetters, I almost want to say, within this space. And the data that you're building, at some point somebody's going to recognize that these guys are building a gold mine in data just alone, right? I mean, in a lot of different areas, not just in Colombia. You're building it in the UK, you're building it in Germany, you're building it in Peru, and hopefully soon you'll be building it in Mexico, right? Yeah. And then hopefully you'll be building it in the United States, you know, one step at a time. But I think you're in a great position. I think that the street does not recognize it yet, but at some point, I think the numbers are going to force them to recognize it.
Well, Tim, on that last point, and I know, and thank you for that, and you're right. There's a lot of misconceptions about our business and about the industry as a whole. But once we start looking at a company that's, in terms of just cannabis sales, that has half of their cannabis sales in Europe, that's no longer a Colombian company. Even me, you know, I'm actually US Colombian, so I would love to go to the United States, even with the accent. But, you know, it's that type of company is perfect partner for anything. I mean, if you are able to run a business like this in 2 continents and really not have the type of competition there's in the United States, the more we talk about that, the more we show those results, the more we see, hey, you know, UK is important, Germany is not an afterthought, right? The less Colombian I will be. And, you know, the less Colombian we are, the more investors can recognize the opportunity for diversification risk. And that, you know, we don't, one day, you know, even if Europe has a problem later, there will be Mexico. So you're able to play in markets that are big on their own. And if one has a bad month because whatever happens, then it's being picked up by somebody else, no? And yes, we're still lacking the United States, but that will happen soon, no? And it's still very early to know who wins. But I do know one thing, like there's nobody else in these regions where we are that knows how to prescribe cannabis better. And we are able to do it in English, in Portuguese, and Spanish. So it's UK English. I'm sure we can do it in American accent.
I love it. All right, listen, Alvaro, I don't want to hold you up. After your earnings and maybe after maybe, you know, a couple other developments, maybe if you get something going in Mexico, we could do another follow-up after that.
For sure. Thank you so much, Tim. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, same here, Alvaro. Hold on one second. I'm going to stop recording for 1 second. Hold on.
Okay.
Hey there, stock market junkies. Thanks for tuning in to yet another CE interview, but this one was a follow-up with Khiron, ticker symbol KHRNF. We had Alvaro Torres, CEO, here giving us an update on what's happening. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. If you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, why not give us a follow? Till next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best of success.